Oftentimes in the discussion surrounding Sola Scriptura, it is claimed by non-Protestants that the whole idea of Sola Scriptura is just unintelligible or even incoherent. Now, regardless of whether it's true or not, I just can't for the life of me understand how such an extreme criticism is offered. So in this video, I want to put forward an argument that supports the likelihood of Sola Scriptura being true. The purpose of this argument is to at the very least show how reasonable the doctrine is. Oftentimes, philosophers appeal to the intuitional strength of an argument to support its claims. This isn't to say every intuition we have is correct, but it is a very good starting point. If an argument has premises that are strongly supported by the intuitions of people, then it's just more likely that it's true. For example, the reason the moral argument is often viewed as a strong argument for God's existence is because it's intuitional strength. We all know that some things are right and some things are wrong. And from there we intuit something like, these rights and wrongs only apply to minds. And from there we intuit something like, therefore, morality must be grounded in a transcendent mind. Now for you philosophy folks, that was not intended to be a robust defense of the moral argument, rather just to show how our simple intuitions can guide us. Okay, now back to the topic. The reason I am laying out just a modest argument here to support Sola Scriptura's reasonableness is because the goal is just to provide a sort of defeating argument for the claim that Sola Scriptura is silly or again unintelligible. The question we need to ask is, why might someone be attracted to the doctrine of Sola Scriptura? I can remember early on in my Christian journey, before ever even knowing about Sola Scriptura, coming to the doctrine on my own, based purely on intuitions and reason. And as I've explained in some of my other videos, I think the arguments against it don't work and are grounded on non-Protestant assumptions that I think fall flat. For more info on that, check out my two most recent videos in relation to this topic titled, Is Private Interpretation a Problem for Protestants? And The Real Reason There Are So Many Protestant Denominations. Okay, so now let's look at the argument. To start, how a deductive argument works is that if the premises are true, then the conclusion follows. So in this argument, there are two premises and a conclusion. Premise 1 says, the closest source in time or proximity to a person or event is generally more reliable than a less close source. Premise 2, Scripture is the closest source we have to Jesus and the apostles. Conclusion, therefore, Scripture is most likely the most reliable source regarding the teachings of Jesus and the apostles. Notice here, there is not much that needs to be even done in the way of defending these premises. Neither of these are controversial, which again shows its immediate intuitional strength. However, with that said, I will support each premise further. To support premise 1, now this is just simply how historiography works. When faced with multiple sources that make claims regarding a person, place, or event, the source that is closer in time or proximity to the person, place, or event is generally preferred to the one that is less close. Regarding premise 2, whether you want to take a more liberal or conservative dating of the New Testament, the Scriptures themselves are the closest sources we have regarding the teachings of Jesus and the apostles. Any modern-day ecclesiastical office is by default going to be further in both time and proximity from Jesus and the apostles than is Scripture. Now, I want to be clear here that this argument is not intending to be a de facto, stand-on-its-own, knockdown argument that proves Sola Scriptura. Rather, it is just intending to show the merit and the reasonableness of the doctrine of Sola Scriptura and why we as Protestants might think that it's true. For ground to be made in any sort of debate such as this, we must be willing to be charitable and make concessions when they are warranted. My concern is that the Protestant versus Catholic versus Eastern Orthodox debate is beginning to look like the Republican versus Democrat debate, and this just isn't good. As Christians, our interactions should look different. We should be fair with one another. We should interpret one another charitably. We should steelman one another. We should seek to understand the best that the other side has to offer. I think the more that we acknowledge the good on the other side, the better off we will be. Otherwise, we will just continue to talk past one another. And if you find yourself never being able to see or understand the position of your opponent, it is likely because you don't want to. To put yourself in their shoes and understand rightly their position, it doesn't mean you have to accept their position. It just means that now you can see where it is they are coming from and how they got there. This applies to Christians on each side of the aisle. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please check out the rest of my channel for more Christian content.